There is a fatal mistake, a nearly invisible detail that most men make when hugging a woman without even realizing it, but it immediately tells her subconscious that you lack masculine energy. The truth is, very few men actually know how to hug a woman the right way. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 types of hugs, what each one communicates about you to her subconscious, and the fourth one, that fourth one is what separates the men who stick in her memory from the ones who are easily forgotten. And almost no one talks about it. Stick with me. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to show you something most men were never taught. Something subtle, but incredibly powerful. Because the truth is, attraction is rarely built in big, obvious moments. It's built in these small, almost invisible interactions that most people overlook. And a hug is one of the most powerful of them all. Think about the last time you hugged a woman. Not just what you did, but what she might have felt. Did she lean in or pull away? Did it feel natural or slightly awkward? Did it linger in her memory or disappear the moment it ended? I want you to be honest with yourself here. And if you've ever felt like something was off but couldn't explain why, drop a comment and tell me. Because that confusion you felt, that's exactly what we're about to clear up today. I'm Emily Carter, host of the Female Game YouTube channel, and my job is simple. I translate what women feel but don't say out loud. No guessing, no mixed signals, just clarity. And before we go deeper, I need you to understand something very important. If you've been getting this wrong, it's not because you're incapable, it's because no one ever showed you. You were taught how to speak, how to dress, how to impress. But when it comes to physical connection, you are left to figure it out alone. So whatever mistakes you've made before, let them go. Today, you learn something new. Now, here's a psychological truth most men completely miss. Women feel first, and only then do they think. While you're analyzing the situation, wondering if it's the right moment, calculating how to act, her body has already made a decision about you. Not consciously, not logically, but emotionally instantly. This comes from a part of the brain called the LIC system. It processes emotion faster than conscious thought, which means by the time you're thinking, should I hug her? She's already feeling whether your presence is safe, grounded, confident, or uncertain. And here's where it gets powerful. A hug bypasses all words, all logic, all surface level interaction. It goes straight to that emotional system. In less than 4 seconds, her body answers questions she isn't even aware she's asking. Does this man feel safe? Does he feel centered? Does he feel like he knows who he is? You could say all the right things. You could make her laugh, impress her, even attract her mentally. But if the hug feels wrong, her body overrides everything else and she won't even know why she suddenly feels less drawn to you. That's why this matters so much. So before we move on, if this is already opening your eyes a little, take a second, hit the like button. It tells me you're paying attention and it helps this reach more people who honestly need to hear it. Now, let's talk about what destroys attraction faster than most men realize. The first mistake is the weak hug. You've seen it. You've probably done it, maybe even recently. Your arms barely make contact. Your body stays at the distance like there's an invisible barrier between you. The pressure is almost non-existent. Sometimes it's just one arm, that polite, disconnected side hug that feels more like obligation than intention. On the surface, it seems harmless, respectful even, but emotionally, it communicates hesitation. It tells her you're unsure, that you're holding back, that you don't fully own the moment. And her subconscious translates that instantly as a lack of presence, not strength, not dominance, but grounded certainty. Imagine this. You meet someone you're slightly attracted to. There's a spark, a curiosity, and then he hugs you, but it feels like he's afraid to touch you, like he's asking for permission with his body instead of leading the interaction. What does that feel like? Not rejection, not disgust, just uncertainty. An attraction cannot grow in uncertainty. It needs something to anchor to something solid. And the weak hug removes that anchor completely. Part 2. Now let's move to the opposite extreme. And this one is just as damaging, if not more, the aggressive hug. This is where many men try to correct the weak hug and go too far in the other direction. They squeeze too tight. They hold on too long. Their hands start moving in ways that don't match the moment. It becomes overwhelming instead of connecting. And here's the key difference you need to understand. Intensity is not the same as presence. When a hug feels aggressive, her body doesn't interpret it as confidence, it interprets it as a lack of awareness, a lack of control, and more importantly, a lack of respect for boundaries. Her system immediately asks a very simple question. Does this man understand space? Because if he doesn't understand something as basic as a hug, what else will he misunderstand? This is how attraction disappears in seconds, not because you did something terrible, but because you created discomfort instead of safety. And once discomfort enters, her body closes off. Even if she smiles, even if she says nothing, the emotional door quietly shuts. Now, the third mistake is the most subtle and the most overlooked, the ghost hug. This is when your body is there, but you are not. You hug her, but your mind is somewhere else. You're thinking about what to say next. You're scanning the room. You're tense. You're rushing. You end the hug abruptly, like you're trying to escape it instead of experience it. And she feels it, not logically, but deeply. Because presence isn't about what you do. It's about how fully you're there while doing it. A ghost hug feels empty. It feels disconnected, like she didn't matter enough for you to fully arrive in that moment. And here's the part most men don't realize. That feeling lingers long after the hug ends. It creates a subtle emotional distance that you can't fix with words because words operate on the surface. But this happens underneath. So now you might be wondering what actually works. What creates that feeling where she walks away thinking about you without even knowing why? This is where everything changes. The masculine hug. And no, this isn't about being dominant or overpowering. It's about being grounded, intentional, present. It starts before the hug even happens. It starts with your decision. You don't hesitate. You don't overthink. When the moment is right, you step in naturally, calmly, without asking with your body. Your feet are stable. Your posture is relaxed but strong because physical stability communicates emotional stability, and her body reads that instantly. Your arms wrap around her with intention, one hand placed between her shoulder blades, the other rest naturally at the middle of her back, not too high, not too low, just grounded. Your chest connects with hers, not forcefully, not lightly, just enough to create a sense of real presence. And then you breathe. This is where most men fail without realizing it. They hold their breath, they tense up, their body becomes rigid, and that tension transfers directly to her. But when you breathe slowly, naturally, your body relaxes, and relaxation is contagious. Her nervous system mirrors yours. If you're calm, she feels calm. If you're grounded, she feels grounded. This is not theory, this is biology. Now, let's talk about timing because this is where precision matters. Too short and it feels dismissive, like a polite gesture with no depth. Too long and it becomes uncomfortable. The ideal window is about 2 to 4 seconds, just enough time for her body to register the feeling, just enough time for her to experience you, and then you end it. Not abruptly, not awkwardly. You release calmly, smoothly. Maybe your hands lightly slide down her arms as you step back. You maintain eye contact, a relaxed expression, a subtle smile, and in that moment, something stays with her. Not something she can explain, but something she feels. End of the script. Because here's the truth. Most people never say out loud, a hug is never just a hug. It's a message, a silent emotional signal that tells her exactly who you are without you saying a single word. Every time you hug a woman, you're giving her a preview of your energy, your awareness, your confidence, your ability to lead, or your tendency to hesitate. And she remembers that feeling, even if she forgets the conversation. Even if she forgets what you were wearing, she remembers how you made her feel in that moment. Let me give you a real-life example. A woman meets 2 men in the same evening. Both are interesting. Both are attractive in their own ways. Both make her laugh. On paper, they're equal, but one gives her a weak, uncertain hug. The other gives her a calm, grounded, present hug days later. Who was she thinking about? Not because one said something better, but because one made her feel something deeper. This is how subtle attraction works, and once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere. So here's something I want you to try. The next time you hug someone, don't rush it. Don't perform it. Feel it. Be aware of your body, your breath, your intention. Ask yourself in that moment, am I fully here? Because that question alone will change everything. And I want to leave you with one final thought. What if attraction isn't about doing more, but about being more present in the moments that already exist? Think about that. And if this shifted your perspective even a little, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell because next time I'm going to show you another hidden behavior, something women feel instantly but almost never explained. And trust me, once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Now let's move to the opposite extreme, and this one is just as damaging, if not more. The aggressive hug. This is where many men try to correct the weak hug and go too far in the other direction. They squeeze too tight. They hold on too long. Their hands start moving in ways that don't match the moment. It becomes overwhelming instead of connecting. And here's the key difference you need to understand. Intensity is not the same as presence. When a hug feels aggressive, her body doesn't interpret it as confidence. It interprets it as a lack of awareness, a lack of control, and more importantly, a lack of respect for boundaries. Her system immediately asks a very simple question. Does this man understand space? Because if he doesn't understand something as basic as a hug, what else will he misunderstand? This is how attraction disappears in seconds. Not because you did something terrible, but because you created discomfort instead of safety. And once discomfort enters, her body closes off. Even if she smiles, even if she says nothing, the emotional door quietly shuts. Let me paint a real situation for you. A woman meets a man at a social gathering. He's confident in conversation, holds eye contact, makes her laugh. There's a natural flow. She's open, curious. Then comes the hug. He pulls her in too quickly, too tight. His grip lingers just a bit longer than it should. Maybe his hand presses lower than expected. Not intentionally bad, but miscalculated. In that exact moment, something shifts. She doesn't pull away dramatically. She doesn't call it out, but internally, her body registers a boundary being crossed. And now instead of feeling drawn in, she becomes aware, guarded. That one moment changes the entire trajectory of the interaction, and the man walks away thinking everything went well, not realizing the emotional tone has already changed. That's how subtle this is. Now, let's go deeper into the third mistake because this one is invisible but incredibly powerful. The ghost hug. This is when your body is there, but your mind is somewhere else. You go in for the hug, but you're distracted. Maybe you're thinking about what to say next. Maybe you're worried about how you're coming across. Maybe you're scanning the environment, checking who's watching. Your arms wrap around her, but there's no real connection. Your muscles are slightly tense. Your breath is shallow or held, and the hug ends abruptly, like you're relieved it's over. And here's what she feels. Not rejection, not discomfort, but emptiness, a lack of presence. And presence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. Let me explain why. When a man is fully present, he creates a sense of psychological safety, not through words, but through energy. His attention is not divided. His body is not conflicted. He's there completely. And that kind of presence is rare, which is why it stands out so much. Now imagine the opposite, a man who is physically close, but mentally distant. Her subconscious reads that instantly as disinterest or insecurity, even if that's not the reality, even if he actually likes her because what she feels is what becomes real to her. Let me give you another example. A woman hugs two different men on two different days. The first one is polite, well-mannered, says all the right things, but during the hug, he's distracted. His body feels stiff. His attention is scattered. The second man says less. He's quieter. But when he hugs her, he's fully there, grounded, calm, present. Guess which one she remembers? It's never about doing more. It's about being more in the moment you're already in. Now, here's something most men don't realize. Your body communicates more honestly than your words ever will. You can say you're confident, you can try to act relaxed, but your nervous system tells the truth through your touch, through your breath, through your presence. And women, whether they can explain it or not, feel that truth instantly. So now the question becomes, how do you shift this? How do you move from uncertainty or overcompensation or distraction into something that actually creates attraction? This is where the real transformation begins. The masculine hug. And I want you to forget everything you think that word means for a second. This is not about dominance. It's not about control. It's not about trying to impress. It's about alignment. Your body, your intention, and your awareness all working together in one moment. It starts with your decision. You don't wait for the perfect signal. You don't hesitate and overanalyze when the moment naturally calls for it. You step in calmly, not rushed, not forced, just certain. That certainty is what she feels first. Before your arms even touch her, she senses whether you're grounded or unsure. Now, let's talk about your body. Your feet matter more than you think. When your stance is stable, your entire body communicates balance, and balance is interpreted as emotional stability, which is deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Your posture is upright but relaxed, not stiff, not slouched, just natural strength. Then your arms, you don't throw them around her randomly. You place them with intention. One hand rests between her shoulder blades. This creates a sense of guidance and subtle leadership. The other hand rests at the middle of her back, not too low, not too high. This positioning matters because it respects boundaries while still creating connection. Now comes the most important part, your breath. Most men completely overlook this. The moment they go in for a hug, they become self-aware. Their breathing changes. Sometimes they hold it without realizing. Their body tightens, and that tension transfers instantly. But when you stay aware of your breath, everything changes. You inhale naturally, you exhale slowly. Your body softens. And when your body softens, her body responds. This is called emotional mirroring. Her nervous system picks up on yours and adjusts accordingly. So if you're calm, she feels calm. If you're grounded, she feels grounded. And this is where a real connection happens. Not through technique, but through state. Now let's talk about duration, because timing is everything. A hug that's too quick feels like a formality, like you're checking a box. There's no depth, no emotional imprint. A hug that's too long becomes uncomfortable. It creates tension instead of connection. So what's the sweet spot? About 2 to 4 seconds, but here's the key. It's not about counting, it's about feeling. You stay in the hug just long enough for the moment to land, for the connection to register, for her body to relax slightly into it, and then you end it. But the way you end it matters just as much as how you begin. You don't pull away suddenly, you don't break eye contact immediately. You release slowly, naturally, as if the moment completed itself. Your hands might gently slide down her arms as you step back. You look at her, relaxed, present, a subtle smile. And in that moment, there's no awkwardness, no rush, just a quiet sense of connection. And that's what stays with her. Not the hug itself, but how it made her feel. And once you understand this, you start realizing something powerful. Attraction isn't created in big gestures. It's created in these small, precise, emotionally charged moments that most people overlook, and now you don't overlook them anymore. And now everything we've talked about comes down to something very simple but very powerful. A hug is never just a hug. It's a signal, a quiet, emotional message that tells her exactly who you are without you ever needing to say a word. Every time you hug a woman, you're communicating something deeper than conversation. You're showing her how grounded you are, how aware you are, how connected you are to yourself and to the moment. And the truth is, she feels that instantly, not logically, not consciously, but in a way that stays with her long after the moment is over. Let me give you a real-life scenario that will make this click even deeper. A woman goes on 2 separate dates in the same week. The first man is charismatic, he talks well, he's funny. He checks all the boxes on paper. At the end of the date, he hugs her quickly. It's light, slightly awkward, a bit disconnected, nothing wrong with it, but nothing memorable either. The second man is simpler, maybe even a little quieter, but when the moment comes, he steps in naturally. He hugs her with calm confidence. He's present, he's grounded. He doesn't rush it. He doesn't overdo it. For just a few seconds, she feels seen, held, safe. Days later, guess who she's thinking about? It's not about who said more, it's about who made her feel more. This is where most men get it wrong. They focus on words, on lines, on trying to impress. But attraction, especially for women, lives in the feeling. And that feeling is created in moments like this. Small, subtle, but incredibly powerful. Now, here's where I want you to shift your mindset. Stop thinking of a hug as something you do. Start seeing it as something you create. A moment of presence, a moment of connection, a moment where your energy speaks louder than anything you could say, because when you approach it like that, everything changes. Your body relaxes, your mind quiets down, you stop performing, and you start experiencing. And that's when it becomes real. Let me give you something practical you can actually use starting today. The next time you're about to hug someone, pause for just 1 second before you move. Not externally, internally. Bring your attention into your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Take 1 slow breath and then go in. That 1 small adjustment will instantly shift the quality of your presence. Now, during the hug, focus on just 2 things: your breath and your awareness. Are you holding tension? Are you rushing? Or are you actually there? Because that awareness is what creates connection. And when you step out of the hug, don't immediately break the moment. Hold eye contact for just a second longer than usual. Not in a forced way, in a natural, relaxed way. Let the moment land. This is how emotional memory is created, not through intensity, but through presence. And here's something even deeper to think about. What if the reason some men are unforgettable isn't because they do extraordinary things, but because they bring extraordinary presence into ordinary moments? Think about that. Because if you truly understand it, it changes how you show up in every interaction, not just hugs. Now, I want to ask you something. Be honest with yourself. Which type of hug have you been giving? The weak one, the aggressive one, or the ghost hug? Drop your answer in the comments. No judgment, because awareness is the first step to change. And I read those comments. I genuinely want to know where you're at so I can guide you better in the next videos. And if you've made it this far, it means you're not like most people. You're paying attention to details that others ignore, and those details are what create real attraction. So if you want to keep learning this level of psychology, the things women feel but rarely explain, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell, because in the next video, I'm going to break down another hidden behavior. Something even more subtle than this, something that instantly tells a woman whether she can trust you or not. And once you see it, you won't be able to go back to the old way of doing things. Until then, remember this, it's not about being perfect, it's about being present.